Rohit Srivastavaq is here with us. HP Prasad is joining in as well. Rohit, a quick 60-second response from you first. Markets, up or down? You heard Sarvendra, he thinks 500 points up or down is due. His bias, of course, is for the market to go up. Where do you stand?
My overall bias on the market is definitely on the downside. What I don't know is what the market will do after today's event, that is the RBI policy. If you have only a 25 basis points hike, it's possible that you find the bottom close to 60.60 and try to bounce back to 6200 or 6250. But apart from such a bounce, the overall trend, I think, from a 1 month perspective, would be down.
I'm just coming back to some of those points. So you're saying that maybe we get a bounce from here. So we'll start with that after we got the prices in the box. That's what you got. UB Holdings is up 2 and some more stuff on your screen. Rohit, so you think it's possible that the market makes a bottom today, near term, right?
It's possible that you get a very short-term bottom. I'm not sure, but there is a possibility simply because we have, at a very small degree completed what we call a 5-wave decline. So usually get a bounce back from that. Sometimes the 5th wave can extend. Yesterday evening's closing market looked like it can extend on the downside. But if you just look at the event itself, 25 basis points hike appears discounted by the market. So it would have to take something more than that to really see it fall further immediately. If it's only that much, the support I would put at around 6060, and if not really broken that level, then there is a possibility you do a short-term bounce back.
Right. No, so you're not worried about the Fed, etc., right? Because that's later today.
I'm not too worried about it simply because either way, whether they taper or they don't, I think both are discounted in the market. The reason being that if they do taper, it's going to be a small amount, which was very farly discussed in September, and if they don't, then it would again get taken positively. So I'm not sure whether there would be any negative event from the US, and the Fed tends to always maintain expectations with a positive outcome. I'm not sure whether the eventual market would be, from a this is only from a 1 to 2 day perspective. The immediate reaction to whatever the Fed does overnight might not be immediately negative. That does not mean that 1 week down the line the US market can't fall because it's extremely overbought. But it just means that from a 1 to 2 day very short term perspective, the US event itself might not be very negative. The chances of a negative event are purely domestic in case we hike rates more than 25 basis points.
Okay, got it. Trent is up 10%, I'm being told. So let's just put that stock up. The news, of course, is that Tesco is seeking an approval to buy 50% in Trent hypermarkets. It's approached DIPP to invest $110 million in the Tata Group company, and if allowed, it will be the first foreign chain to invest in supermarkets in India. Trent Hypermarkets, in which Tesco is seeking an investment into, runs a chain of 16 star bazaars. So I guess that's essentially the news there. Usually it trades about 70 shares. Now the last 10 days it's on an average traded about 70 shares. To this point today, it's already traded about 60,000 shares, 62,000 shares or so. So we'll have more on that in a bit. Orchid Chemicals is up. It's up about 6.5%. MCX is up. Spark is selling off. US FDA has rejected a drug application from Spark, so it's reacting to that. Financial Technologies is up a little bit. Walcott had a big day yesterday. It's coming up a little bit again, but these are stocks with volumes right now. SV, do you agree with Rohit's assessment for the market?
Frankly, let's first talk about the big day today, which is Mint Street, and then try and correlate that to what the impact on the market will be. The market seems to be pricing in 25 basis points. What if the RBI governor, who seems to always think and act out of the box, puts a 50 basis points hike at the same time reduces CRR? Now what happens? This could happen because because the reality of the matter is, whatever we may say, inflation is still stubbornly high. We can say it's because of food price hike, rural wages going up, RBI cannot do anything, but he seems to be a man of action. So I expect some surprise from the RBI governor to do a kind of a balancing act, because in many ways it's being caught in a cleft stick, because you increase interest rates, your NPAs go up, which are already stubbornly high. So it's being kind of caught in a cleft stick situation. The good news, from a long-term perspective, is the big MNCs are clearly betting on the long-term consumption story in India. I was just looking at some data, though the last year and a half data is clearly trending down. I was looking at cars, two-wheelers, FMCG, so on and so forth, with only Bata and Colgate being at about double-digit, but they're also trending down. But in spite of that, the big FMCGs are clearly, if you look at GlaxoSmithKline Consumer, now the Pharma, HUL, S&P, now you're talking about, then you had Diageo, you're talking about Tesco today. So they're obviously believing in the long-term story. Immediate impact on market, I think it will be muted. I think market is fairly kind of discounted what's going to happen. I don't honestly expect nasty surprises from the Fed either, because they would also like to go into a December vacation mood in a happy frame of mind. So I don't really expect any nasty surprises of major tapering. But the market's also fairly discounted tapering, about, I would say, anywhere between 15 to 20 billion dollars or thereabouts. So I think markets are finally balanced. The bigger concern will be if there is suddenly the December selling that suddenly happens. I think that, to my mind, would be the concern. What the trend looks like in terms of their own sort of year-end management. Otherwise, I think markets are fairly balanced.
No, you said SP that what you said RBI. What if RBI hikes repo and cuts CRR?
Yeah.
So what will happen?
That could be a balancing act, because on one hand, what you're doing is you're responding to the interest rate, to the inflation situation.
I understand, but what do you think? How
the benefit is that you're putting more cash into the banking system.
That's fine. So how will the market react?
The market's reaction, if I were to sort of hang in there or take a call there, would be perhaps not very dissimilar from just a vanilla 25 basis points hike. The market reaction, one hand, a standalone,
which will be negative, essentially, what you're saying.
Yeah, but 25 basis is already factored in.
Yeah.
Really, nobody's, I mean, if the RBI governor says business as usual, nothing, I think
it's factored in, SP, but with every 25 basis point hike, and I'm not saying that RBI should do things that's right, but the point is, banks will react. Maybe some banks will react. SBI, the base rate I think is 10% now.
Right.
And it's still one of the lowest in the system.
Correct.
So you essentially will see rates moving up a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So stock prices may be pricing in a little bit of that pain right now, but essentially there will be more to go as rates in the system go up, and the pain for consumers increases, and that's a given. It will happen. If not now, banks will wait maybe a month, 2 months. They'll bump up rates again. I think we heard it from a couple of PSU bank chairmen recently. So rates seem to be headed higher and may stay higher for longer than what most people expect. So all this talk that rates are going to come down in the middle of 2014, etc. I don't know where it's coming from.
No, the only hope is the government, since it's hurting them in terms of election results, the semi-final results we have, government says that, okay, now I'm going to start selling consistently, make an announcement that I'm going to be selling grains in the market, and they sell about 15-20 million tons. They're sitting on double what's been, 33 million tons is what the stock should be there, I think more than double. If the government says, all right, every week or every day I'm going to sell X million tons, so what you're doing is you are not only hitting the inflation expectation of grains, but you're also hitting the inflation expectation of other food products, like let's say potatoes and onion, because suddenly the market realizes that the government is now determined to bring down inflation. Because let's face it, ultimately inflation hurts the government in power. There's no question about it. And India has been having double-digit inflation for the last, I don't know how many years. And mind you, this is quite very different from what happened earlier. Earlier it was more drought-driven. This time we're having surplus food grains, bountiful crop, and still we are seeing high food inflation, largely because of rural wages being having gone up. So I wouldn't be surprised if the government, because government seems to be on an action mode, whether it is Lokpal bill, whether it is other announcements, whether it's saying that they'll give Congress saying unconditional support to the Aam Aadmi Party. So I would not be surprised if the government says, let's now attack this beast called inflation. Whether we win or not, at least we'll cut our losses in the election. And government says, look, we are going to sell now over the next till let's say February, March or whatever, we're going to be selling 1/3 of the excess stock that we are holding. I won't be surprised if some announcement like that comes, because that will really bring down food inflation, because what's driving this is food inflation.
No, you mean vegetable inflation? That's essentially.
No, I'm saying
food inflation. Food inflation has been high for 6 years.
No, I appreciate that.
It can't, so vegetable and so that has already come off. I think one news report said that in the case of onions, excess of supply now seems to be suddenly the problem. It's a dramatic shift, but I mean, I read it this morning in a newspaper. So what you're talking about is vegetable inflation, which is up some 80-90% year on year.
Absolutely. So because there is an inflation expectation in the trade. People are it will kill that inflation expectation, and this is one place where the government can play a big role. Let's face it, the food grain is rotting in the godowns.
Rohit, you want to come in? I'm sure you want to come in on some of these points that SB made.
Yes, I think the biggest debate really on this inflation thing is whether inflation is a monetary phenomenon or not. Can you just keep blaming supply side issues? I mean, just like he said some time back, prices are up because of wage. Now, if it's wage, then it's not really, then it is a monetary phenomenon, because you've put out more money in the hands of people, that is driving up prices. Then you need monetary action to actually curtail it, which is something that RBI has tried not to do for very long. So it's probably about time they do it, but the whole question in our mind is whether they will, because just some time back in an interview on your channel, Dr. Rajan was himself saying that he does not want to hurt the corporate sector by raising rates too fast. So it's still a guessing game for us whether he will do what is to be done or not.
No, what he said to us, Rohit, was actually, maybe he would have said that in a different context, but his main thrust was that, I want to tell corporates that please bear with us, because we have to tackle this, tackle the issue of inflationary expectations now. Otherwise, corporates are going to be squeezed because they compete in a global market. Their input costs will go up, but their final selling prices will not go up. So they have to, so his message to corporates and appeal to corporates was, please bear with us as we increase interest rates. That's what he said.
Yeah, but the meaning is the same, that you're going to hurt the corporate sector, which you don't want to do. So then would you really go ahead and raise interest rates by 50 basis points even as inflation is going up? That's the real question.
Yeah.
I frankly think it is a signal, if it comes from the government informal channels, that they will do something about food grain inflation. I think we're looking at a 25 basis points hike. If that signal is not coming, I would brace myself for something from the RBI governor, because he always does the unexpected.
Rohit, what are your trades?
We've built ourselves to the short side over the last 1 week. We're out of most of our long, so our positions are on the short side. But like I said, if we get only a 25 basis points move and the market's not really falling, we'll look for a 100-150 point bounce back in the market. But from a 1 month perspective, we'll be looking at shorting again on rallies.
Shorting on rallies, essentially. Rohit and SV, thanks very much for your time, gentlemen. Good to have both of you here. And good to hear from both of you. Let's just take that quick commercial break. We're back in